if you would go back and look at the arrests, usually it's the same 4 or 5 people that makes all the arrests on African Americans. If you would just check, 95% of the time it's the same officers that does the arresting all the time. I would consider that person, I don't know what other people, probably a racist. You know, you cannot, it's not a law, there isn't a law about against anybody being a racist.
I would caution you against that broad statement, and I'll give you an example of why.
Okay.
I was assigned to a unit called the Focus Unit, okay? The Focus Unit was comprised of 5 deputy sheriffs who were hand-selected, who were very, very, very hard workers. You didn't get to put in for it, you didn't get to interview for it. It was they chose their hardest workers and the people they had a lot of confidence in, and they put them in this unit. It was comprised of 2 African Americans and 3 white males. There were 5 of us total. We were assigned to go to the highest crime areas of Alachua County statistically, the highest call load, so the most amount of 911 phone calls. So in an African American community, are we getting phone calls from white people in the African American community, or are we getting phone calls from African Americans? We're getting phone calls from African Americans, and we're responding to those calls. And statistically, when those areas have more calls for service, they're going to get more resources. That's kind of policing 101. You go where the crime is to attempt to intercede or stop the crime or break the cycle, okay? So I was assigned to Focus Unit. Let me tell you the areas I was assigned. Cedar Ridge, okay, otherwise known as Holly Heights. Phoenix, used to be part of the Sheriff's Office, Phoenix Apartments. Majestic Oaks, and what used to be called Sugarfoot, which is now called Linton Oaks, okay? Arguably, for anybody that's familiar with those areas, probably 95, 97% African American, correct? Everybody agree with that? If I work in those areas, I'm not allowed to work anyplace else now. Those are the areas I work in. Does it mean that I'm a racist if most of the people I interact with are African American? I would suggest to you not. Okay, so you got to be very careful about broad statements. Most of the arrests I made, 99%, were African Americans. Guess what? That's who I interacted with every day. Okay, if 99% of my arrests were white, that probably means I'm not working in the community that I've been ordered to work in. No, it doesn't mean that I'm a racist, no more than it means that the 2 African American deputies who worked alongside me, who I'm having a great deal of respect for, one is a personal hero of mine and a mentor, it doesn't mean that they're racist either. So you got to be careful about broad statements, you got to be careful about statistics. The deputy that's assigned to Mike Zone, okay, and that's a zone that encompasses the highest crime area of Alachua County. That deputy has Majestic Oaks, Linton Oaks, Cedar Ridge, that corridor, Tower Oaks, Glen, that corridor right there, which statistically, like it or hate it, statistically it's fact, that's where we have the highest call rate. It is what it is. And that deputy is going to interact and, as a result, arrest more African Americans than he is going to be any other group, Asian American, Hispanic. Doesn't mean that deputy is a racist. So we got to be very, very careful about statistics. Be very, very careful about broad statements. There may be, some merit to some of the things. I have to research all of it. I don't know all the facts that you know.
And I wish you would. Even I go sometimes when I'm retired now. I go sometimes and sit in the court just to see what happens. And I leave court with a bleeding heart. I could see a white person come in with a more serious offense than a black person, and the judge would throw the book at him. I mean, they would get a harsher sentence than someone who's committed a more serious crime, first offense or whatever. So I guess we just need to talk about it. I'm glad we're having this conversation because, and then the other thing is, 53% of our county budget goes to the Sheriff's Department. 53% of our tax dollars, the taxes that we consume in Alachua County, goes to the Sheriff's Office. Then who are the people that's being arrested? They look like me. So, all of those things are very mind-boggling to African Americans.
It is a vicious cycle, and I am not smart enough to fix it. I am not smart enough to fix it. I don't know all the answers. That you're talking about everything from socioeconomic, discussion all the way through, the criminal justice system. That's a huge, huge issue. All I can do is stay in my lane of travel, and this is my lane of travel. This is my pledge to you. My lane of travel is to ensure that when complaints are brought to me at the Office of Professional Standards at the Alachua County Sheriff's Office, that they are vigorously and fairly investigated, and we hold employees accountable. That's my lane of travel. That's the thing that which I can. That's the effect, and the piece of the puzzle that I can do in the way, the manner in which I can serve you. Outside of that, I'm just not smart enough to fix all those problems.
Can I add some glue to what you said? Is it fair to say that we have some really good police officers?
We have some fantastic police officers. And here's the good news. Let me give you some good news, because you hear a lot of bad news.
Okay.
The good news is you got more good ones than bad ones.
Absolutely.
That's the good news.
Thank
God.
It's also fair to say that there could be some cops that are racist.
Yes.
And I like to say, I like to agree with what you said. The best way for us to fix it is to acknowledge it. It's there.
We can't fix it if it's us against you.
Exactly.
That's not going to fix it. Okay?
Exactly.
We know that's broken. Okay, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
We have to fix it together.
Together.
So we can't be in an antagonistic relationship. We got to be together to be able to fix that, right?
Yeah.
Remember what my background is. Okay.
Yeah.
6 years in the Marine Corps. Has everybody heard the saying, "There's no atheist in a foxhole"?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me guess what else there isn't in a foxhole. Skin color. Do you think I give a crap what color your skin is when people are shooting at me? I could care less. I only knew one color. Were you a Marine also? And that's green. That's green. That's the only color you know. Okay? But we got to come together and we got to work together to be able to fix that. We're not going to fix it. The NAACP is not going to fix it. They can't fix it by themselves. Law enforcement is not going to fix it. It's going to take everybody to fix it. We have got to work together to fix it. This is good. This is beautiful. This discussion is what we have to have, and we can't be so thin-skinned that we're afraid to offend each other.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
And see, as Laszlo advocacy group, this is what we do. We are the glue. We are trying to get people to understand that we are the glue between far left, far right. We all got to get together and fix it. We got good people on both sides. And be counted. I got to tell you, when I went to the military, I named that county. Because I got out and I met all these other people all over the world, and they kept asking me, where are you from? What is it like? The best explanation for that, the place where I grew up, is country ghetto. Because you got country Caucasian guys, big trucks riding through mud, but if you go right across the street, you got another black guy go to selling drugs on the corner. You know what I'm saying? And not selling drugs.
Who's equally country.
Equally country.
In his own way, he's as country as he can be.
Probably sometimes got cowboy boots on himself. It's mixed up, but in middle school, I remember we had a race fight. And it was real disheartening to my father's heart because he did a lot of sit-ins when he was young, where he was at Lincoln High School, not Lincoln Middle School. And he was real passionate about things like that. So when he heard about that, he was like, what? But
I make sure that I have a talk with my children about interactions with the police and interactions with people of authority. And I make sure that I stress to them to be compliant with people and be responsible for things that you do in your own actions. What can we all do as a community to better assist you guys in that regard? Because on the flip side of this coin, because I monitor this a lot, and one of the first things that I see personally is whenever there's an issue with a cop or someone of authority, is, especially if it's a black person, oh, well, he did this wrong, or look how uncompliant they were, or look how disrespectful they were. Again, out of my own fear of the police, I'll just be honest with you, I make sure that my kids know this, to just be compliant, and to make sure that we all get home at the end of the day. So what can we do?
That's a powerful message. I'd like to respond first, if you don't mind, because that was actually my closing remarks. We have got to send a message to everybody, our youth, my son, your kids, adults, everybody, that when confronted with a law enforcement officer, okay, who's in the performance of his duties, and you choose, because it is a choice, and you choose to resist, whether that be verbally, physically, or in some other way, here's what you're banking on. And I'm not willing to make this bet. But you're betting on this, okay? You're betting, in some cases, your life on this. So this is really important for us all to pay attention to. You're banking and you're betting that that officer or deputy sheriff is going to make a good decision. You're betting your life that they're well trained. You're betting your life that they are not one of the bad apples. Okay? You're banking your very existence on this earth on all of those things and more and other factors. Just because you can resist doesn't mean you should. There's a better way. Okay? There's a better way. All of the incidents you see in the national media right now have a common denominator. That first common denominator is some measure of resistance. It can be argued that the contact was not reasonable or lawful to begin with. But how do we argue that? On the side of the road with our fists, or in a court of law with an attorney? The right way, with the NAACP, in court, through the Internal Affairs Office. That's the right way. The wrong way is to resist roadside and put your life in the hands of somebody who may have a bad day, who may make a bad decision, who may not be well trained. You've got some of the best trained law enforcement officers here in Alachua County in the nation. I travel all over the place. Trust me, they're not all well trained. That's pretty scary, okay? Pretty scary. But they're not all that well trained. Why would you bet your life on those things? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you choose to resist and offer up an opportunity for that police officer to make a bad decision? Why? Is it because that we've somehow we sent the wrong message and said that it's weak, that you're giving up, you're not powerful anymore when you submit to authority? I've submitted to authority my entire life. I will continue to submit to authority until the day I die. I have a higher authority. I have my wife who has a say in this relationship. I have a boss at work. You will always submit to authority. It doesn't mean the authority is right or righteous. It just is the right thing to do at that particular time. It's the safe thing. It's the smart thing. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Don't encourage people to do it the wrong way and have bad, tragic outcomes. It's not worth it. Would everybody agree with that? Would you agree with that, Ms. Fox?
I most certainly do, because I think most of us African Americans are Christians, and the Bible teaches us to obey the laws of the land. And I love policemen because they protect us. If we didn't have policemen, anything could go on that would, harm us. So I do respect the policemen, the good ones and the bad ones. I don't know who they are, but we have to obey the laws of the land, and we are supposed to respect those in charge of us. And once the policeman stops us, we're supposed to do whatever they ask, when they ask. And that's what I tell people to do. But if you're belligerent and cursing, and I've seen this, and I could not believe how I've seen some people just curse the policeman flat out. I was in a store one day, and these young boys called the cops some of the worst names I've ever heard. And he said nothing. Well, I don't know if it was the type of relationship they had developed where they had no respect for him or what. But we cannot live without the law enforcement. That is something that is absolutely necessary. But there are some bad cops that we need to get rid of. So when you're stopped, I tell people just go ahead and do whatever they say. And if somebody else is in the car with you, have them to film it. Don't you try to turn your camera on and take any, film anything. You let whoever's riding with you do that, and you obey the officer or the person that stopped you, that you're speaking to. You need to obey everything they're saying. And if they're doing something wrong and somebody else is with you, they have their camera, let them do it, but don't you try to do anything